Yeah, so I'm going to reorganise my bike toolbox. The park tool comes with these attachments that go here, which you push your tools in here, like that. But I find this a bit not very good, so it limits your choice of tool. You've also got another side here. So I think these generic spots up here, this is pretty useless. So I want to change that. And reorganise to be a bit more efficient. So the first thing I've got to do is get all the tools out. Put them all in there. Get all the tools out, sort them, lay them out, and then lay out what it's going to look like. And the plan is perhaps take some of these off and then 3D print some holders for accepting the different styles of tools. So what we'll do is we'll categorise the tools first, sort them out on the desk, categorise them, and then work out which tools go here, which tools go in here, and which tools go on the cards. So the tools that are frequently used will go here. The tools that are secondary use will go here. The tools that are hardly used will go in here, and I think that basically is good, and then all your documentation and stuff can go in there. I think then doing that we'll have a pretty comprehensive toolkit and it's fairly well organised. So let's see how we go. So let's sort the tools and work out what we have and then go from there. Okay, so I made a list of what I think I've got based on the Park Tool catalogue, and then so I've taken everything out. That's all empty. This is the spillover section. These are all the consumables, so I won't be putting them in the toolbox. So this is what I've got to sort according to this list, and then what I'll do is I've categorised it, right, and I'll sort them according to this and then see how we go. Right, so here's the gist of it. These are all the tools, sort of tried to categorise them. You've got your spanners, you've got your bottom bracket stuff, rear derailleur stuff, scissors, general purpose tools, markers, screwdrivers, torque wrench, hex tools, and general specialist tools. Now, these are all the tools. You've also got things like this, which are consumables. These are the ferrule ends for the brake wires and things like that. These are consumables, so I think consumables will go in here. Right, your greases, your liquids, cable ties, stuff like that. I think they'll all go in here. And over here, you've got all the spare parts that go for your tools on your bikes, which don't really have a category, but they're just consumables as well. So consumables go in there. So these are the tools. So what we have to do is fine sort these and find out how to get all of this into there. That's the idea. Basically, I've filled out the main card with the main stuff that is always used. So I've got your chain link stuff, chain tools. Actually, this probably should go closer to there, but anyway. So this is all your chain stuff, brakes, hex wrenches, needle nose, big pliers, handy tool, cable cutter, and there's the top. Now the bottom, I'm going to leave this, I'm going to have this part in here will be like a miscellaneous area, because if you kit it out and make it too rigid, when you expand your toolkit there won't be space for anything else. So I'm just going to leave this fairly open. I might put foam in here, but basically you need a gadgets box, some gadget boxes, miscellaneous sort of tools, loose things, and these are just the leftovers from the spanner set. And also if you go away you can throw stuff in here, right? Otherwise if you make it too rigid you won't be able to do that. So I'm going to keep this fairly flexible. This is pretty much as it is. This will be the back of the card, that'll be the front of the card, that goes in the lid. So we've got to go away, get some 3D CAD to 3D up some tool holders for this and this. This will be on the reverse side of this, so the caddies that hold these will need to match the mounting holes for this. That's going to be the challenge. Yeah, so the rest of the toolbox, I'll talk about that later, but anyway, that's the way it is. Okay, so we've printed out some holders for the various tools that we want to put in the lid of the box. Now in general all of these were pretty straightforward to do, but the one I had most trouble with was this one. As you can see, these are the different variations I went through. Now this was my primary one. I thought I'd make it so that you would put the spanner in here and you'd have a retention feature and a holding feature, but as it turned out that was the wrong thing to do, because in the spanners I was going to put them in ring side up like that. So we had to make a bracket that would take the rings in the top, but then when you close the lid the rings would fall out, so I had to put a retention mechanism in there, right? Because we trying to do this, right? Anyway, so when I looked at it I thought, well actually the width of this and the width of this are different, so this is bigger than that, the width. So if you use the open end as your retentions feature, then you don't need any of this stuff here. All you need are the holes. But then the problem was the curvature on the holes. The curvature on the holes had to be such that this bit didn't fall through, but had to be wide enough to let the ring through. Unfortunately it took me a couple of goes to get that right, because I found that the rings were catching on the curve here. They were catching on this edge here, so this dimension here wasn't equal to this width here. It had to be just a little bit bigger, and then once you do that, then it's pretty good. It flips in quite nicely. So that's it. Now I took a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's about 1.5 times 5. What's that? It's almost 7.5 hours worth of printing to get it perfected. I mean, this one worked, but it was still a little bit tight, so I thought, nah, let's just fix it properly. Anyway, so we did that, and then I experimented with the numbers along here. It took a bit of a while to get that sorted. I think I had about 2 goes at that to see that. In one print I forgot the numbers and the numbers didn't come through. But anyway, that was what caused most of the trouble, this rack here. The rest of them were pretty straightforward. Now the trick now will be, I'm going to make holes in the back for magnets. So the idea is we have magnets in the back which will hold the unit, so you don't have to have elaborate clamping systems. The magnets will just hold the unit. And I did a quick weight test. 3 would be enough to hold this one, 2 should be enough to hold that one, etc. That's just a normal clamp. So now what we do is we will go back to the toolbox in the lid, organise the arrangement of these. Now the other feature we've got, these will have nutserts in the back, and these holes here align with the holes on the back here. So the screw will go through there into nutserts, so these will be back to back. These will basically go back to back in the lid, which means you have the nuts, you have minimum number of holes needed in the lid or in the card to affect the mounting, which is the theory. Anyway, now we'll just organise the lid and see how we go. We'll organise the lid, arrange everything. Once we're happy with it, then it's time to drill holes and mount.